Hey, good morning. Welcome to Soaring Solo with Stacy. Soaring Solo is a community of single mothers who are rising above society's expectations to give our children a better life. So I hope that you join me every Saturday morning when we talk about things that affect us, particularly as single mothers, but also as mothers in general. We're going to talk today about preparing your child for adulthood, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background first. I have a day job. I work for a technology company, and we put in security systems and sound systems and smart boards in schools, and we do all sorts of fun things like that. If it has to do with technology, we do it. And one of our kind of goals is when we come into your place of business and we install your sound system. Say we come to your church and we put in the sound system at your church, or we put in a security system or whatever. Our ultimate goal is that you don't ever have to call us again, right? Like, we know eventually you're going to have to. Technology gets outdated quickly. We know that occasionally things go wrong, but the ultimate goal is when we go in and we install this system that it is so simple to use, and that we've given you enough guidance on how to use it that you're set and you no longer need us. Now, when you do need us, if something goes wrong or if you have a question, you give us a call and we help you out. It's awesome, right? We'll take care of you. But the ultimate goal is we want to install this and make it so simple you don't need us, right? Parenthood is very much like that. In fact, most jobs should be like that. Have you ever thought about it? Your doctor should have the attitude. If you have a good doctor, he or she should have the attitude that my goal is to make sure that my patients are so healthy that they don't ever have to come see me. We don't see that very often, and that's a whole different topic that I'll go on a rampage about. But typically, that really should be their goal. Teachers, your goal should be that you teach your students how to process and learn and figure things out for themselves so well that they don't need you to guide them. Eventually they can just figure it out. They know how to take the steps to figure things out, and they can do it themselves. Police officers, hopefully their goal is to make their community so safe that nobody ever has to call them. Our jobs as a whole, and I know there's exceptions, should be to work yourself out of a job. And parenthood is absolutely no different. We should be working really hard to work ourselves out of a job. Most of the time, we don't do that either, right? Most of the time we especially as mothers, and I would dare say single mothers, we have because it's us and the kids and there's no spouse involved, we have such a tie to our kids that the idea of them not needing us someday is scary. It's lonely, and it makes it extra hard to train your children to not need you anymore, but it's super important that we do. So I'm going to talk about half of this week and the other half of this next week. This week we're going to talk about how to prepare your children for adulthood. I would love your input. What do you do to help prepare your children to become secure, solid adults? Next week we're going to talk about how we emotionally as single moms learn to let go and the mistakes that we might make in not letting our kids go, but we'll get to that then. So let's talk about some things that maybe will help you consciously prepare your children to become rock solid adults. Okay, so first thing I would say is let them make mistakes. Probably the hardest thing too. Y'all, it is so hard to watch your kid make a wrong choice and then have to suffer the consequences. But you know what? They're going to make mistakes. We still make mistakes, right? They're going to make mistakes. And if they don't feel the pain of that consequence, they're going to make that mistake again and again. So there comes a point where we as parents have to stop rescuing our kids from their consequences. And I see it all the time. And I understand it. I don't like to see my child in pain. There's nothing worse. When he feels pain, I feel pain. I know these kids don't get that. They will someday when they're parents, but you literally feel every painful moment that they go through. And you don't want to have to see them go through that. but that's how they learn. That's how they grow. That's how they begin to say, ooh, I'm not going to make that mistake again. That was stupid, because if I do that, then here's the consequences. If they never feel the consequences, they never learn not to make those mistakes again, right? This is pretty a simple concept, but not something easy to do. You cannot be there to fix everything for them. Don't even try. Okay, someday you are going to be gone, and they're going to have to figure it out. Better to let them feel the consequences of their mistakes when their mistakes are small, while they're young, than when they become an adult and the consequences are a lot bigger and they end up getting fired from a job or going to jail or something horrific like that, right? The second thing I would say is give them some age-appropriate responsibility. This is hard too, okay? I'm talking about give them some chores. I'm talking about, let them vacuum, let them dust, let them do dishes, let them pick up dog poop. That's a kid's job. I'm trying to be good at this. I am not always good at this. And I'll tell you why I am not always good at this. Because it's a heck of a lot faster if I just do it for them. And then I know it gets done right? Absolutely. The problem is they never learn to do it themselves. And then they expect someone else to take care of them for the rest of their lives. And that's not what we want. And I implore you, especially mothers of sons, as you step out into the dating field, maybe you've seen this too, but there's a whole lot of men out there that are not looking for a wife. They're looking for a mama, because mama's not taking care of them anymore. And I got to tell you, I don't want that. And I don't think most women want that. So we need to raise our sons to be able to take care of themselves. They need to be able to do all of those things. Super important. Have them make their bed in the morning. That is a battle. I love my bed made. Anyway, I'll go on a rampage if I but age appropriate responsibilities, and this can start really young. So like I have an almost teenager. There's a lot of things that I really need to sit back and go, you need to start doing this stuff for yourself. But even if you have toddlers, they can pick up their own toys. Now, I get it. It's going to take 12 times longer to have them do it than it would if you just gathered through and zipped through and cleaned up. But you're going to be picking up from after them for the rest of your life if you don't fix that right now. Toddler mamas, I implore you, make your kids pick up their toys. Okay, enough said. Walk them through decision-making and problem-solving skills. Instead of solving problems for them, instead of making their decisions and saying, this is what you need to do and here's why you need to do it. Instead of doing that, let them make the decisions, even if it's not the decision that you would make. They're different human beings, y'all. They have different ideas. They see things from a different perspective. Allow them that. That's what makes them an individual. That's what's going to make them independent. So let them make some decisions. Let them solve their problems by themselves and be there to guide and give advice, but not tell them what to do, which is really, if you have a dominant 8 personality like me, I love to tell people what to do. This is where you're making your mistake. Let me just tell you how to fix it. This is really hard. This is really hard for me. Okay. And if you have a personality like me, where you're a bit bossy, you probably struggle with that too, but let them fight their own battles. It blows my mind, even from all ages, how often mamas get in the middle of spats. So if your child and their BFF have a fight, stay out of it. Let them figure it out. Sometimes they learn to come back together. Sometimes they learn that, we were friends for a season, but this isn't for us anymore. And you know what? That's okay too. We have a rule in my house. I don't have a lot of rules, I'll be honest with you. I think rules are overrated. I think there's one general rule. You need to be respectful of yourself and other people. That covers a lot of ground, right? But the one rule I repeat regularly is you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but you do have to be kind to everybody. Now, are we still learning that because he's his mother's son and he can be a little raw and ruthless sometimes? Yes, we're still learning that, but that is reminded regularly. You don't have to be best friends with everybody, but you do have to be kind to everyone. So let them fight those things out. Let them deal with it. And if they end up not being friends, they end up not being friends. So what? I bet you have some friends you don't talk to anymore too, right? Let them make their own decisions. We had a situation this week. My son decided he's playing football. Again, he wasn't going to. He's all about baseball, but he said, oh, you know what? I think I do want to play football. So we've got to get him cleats. Well, I found a great pair of cleats on Poshmark that looked brand new, and they were like $25. With shipping, they'd have been about 30-ish. And I was like, oh, these are great. And he's like, yeah, those are okay. He liked them. And then he found another pair of cleats that he liked better. And the pair of cleats that he liked better were $55 plus shipping. So we're talking double the price. So he had to make a decision. You can get the cleats Mama found for $30, or you can pay that $30 difference. If you really want the other ones, it's fine, but you're going to pay for them, the difference. I'll pay the $30 because that's what I was planning on paying. I know I'm cheap. Welcome to my world. But you're going to pay the difference. And he chose to do that, and that's fine. So I ordered those, and he's given me the $30, and he's paid for half of them. I'll bet you they get taken care of a little bit better since he's paying for part of them too. But he needs to make those decisions. Does he want to spend his money that way, or doesn't he? That's up to him. But when he runs out of money, don't come crying, right? Let them communicate for themselves. That's my last point. Let them communicate for themselves. Don't answer questions for them, especially as they get older. Let them speak their mind. Don't correct them. And this is, again, for my personality, this is really hard because I'm like, oh, no, you didn't. You didn't. No, step back and let them have a conversation. They need to learn to converse, particularly with adults. But in general, so important to let them have their own conversations and let them communicate for themselves with you, with other people. Give them the chance. You'd be amazed at how smart your kids are if you give them the chance to talk to you and you watch them talk to other adults. I'm blown away. I wish I was more like that when I was younger. My kid is really good at, not that there's not room for improvement, but he is really good at having conversations with adults. He's polite. He's learned to look them in the eye. This is super important. And they're going to make mistakes occasionally. I think I told you about the friend of mine who went to shake Vance's hand several years back, and he kind of looked down at the ground and he said, oh, no, you don't. Men talk to each other and look each other in the eye and have a firm handshake. And I was so impressed by that. And you know what? Ever since, he's been a lot better about that. So let them communicate for themselves. So those are just a few things that hopefully you're conscious of and you've thought about, and maybe you can take a step. In fact, I would challenge you to pick something, give them a responsibility of some sort, or if there's a spat going on somewhere, let them work it out themselves. Let your kids grow up and become independent. It's super important. Next week, we're going to talk about how you deal with that, because it's not that easy from a mama standpoint, particularly a single mama standpoint, to let your kids grow up and be independent and walk away from you. And I'm still dealing, it's going to be hard. My kid's not 18 yet, so I don't even know the most of it. So those of you that have kids that are grown and out the door, how'd you handle it? Why don't you send me a private message and let me know, because I'd love your input. In the meantime, just remember that you may be soaring solo, but you are not tackling motherhood alone. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next Saturday. Bye.